Walt Disney World is often looked at as the more family-oriented theme park when it comes to how intense their rides are, especially when you look at Universal right across the street. But that doesn't stop Disney from dipping their toes into more extreme waters like Alien Encounter, Tower of Terror, or the subject of today's video, Dinosaur, formerly known as Countdown to Extinction. Welcome everybody to the channel where I talk about anything theme park related, but mostly Disney. Today we will be discussing the terrifying nature of Dinosaur, which if you ask me is, or depending on when you're watching this, was severely underrated. We will mostly be talking about the current version of the ride, considering I never got to ride Countdown to Extinction because I was not born yet. But anyway, Countdown to Extinction was opened on April 22nd, 1998, along with Animal Kingdom itself, to solid reviews. The ride was part of a themed land called Dino Land USA, which was met with heavy criticism due to the cheap nature of its rides. However, this was intentional as the theme was supposed to be similar to a carnival in the US, hence the name Dino Land USA. Countdown to Extinction, however, resided outside of the main land and wasn't really attached to the carnival section of the park, at least not thematically. Despite the criticism of Dinoland USA, people seemed to really like Countdown to Extinction, and even more so when it became Dinosaur in the year 2000 to promote Disney's upcoming film Dinosaur. Some guests, however, claim that the new version of the ride wasn't as intense as the original, so I can only imagine how frightening the original version of the ride was. But anyway, let's see what it's like to take a ride on Dinosaur. Guests will start their journey back in time through a dinosaur fossil museum ran by the Dino Institute, giving off that edutainment vibe that I really miss from old Disney. In the dead center of the room is a giant Carnotaurus fossil, which, spoiler alert, is our main villain once we travel back in time. While in the queue, you can hear narration from Bill Nye, which to be honest, I did not know about until researching this video, so that's some really cool Disney park trivia for you.
Hey everybody, it's me again, Bill Nye, the science guy. You ever hear of paleontologists?
Next up is the pre-show, which is just a wide open room with a screen. As simple as this setup is, I feel like it fits the museum atmosphere and makes the ride feel more realistic. Well, as realistic as a time travel story can be. In the pre-show itself, Dr. Marsh, played by Felicia Rashad, presents a time travel vehicle called the Time Rover, and you are told you'll be taking a peaceful trip through the age of the dinosaurs. Enter Dr. Seeker, played by Wallace Langham, who has a completely different idea of what you're going to be doing with the Time Rover. He wants you to go back in time to capture an iguanodon and releases all the restrictions of the Time Rover behind Dr. Marsh's back.
One more thing. Those locked coordinates? We're in. Now.
You know, typical pre-show stuff. But it does introduce the danger aspect that will be thrown straight into. You exit through the doors and head down to the loading area, which looks very industrial and more like a lab compared to the museum atmosphere upstairs. There are all kinds of pipes and equipment around, which, fun fact, the entire Dinoland area was once sponsored by McDonald's, and these pipes are red, yellow, and white. If you look closely at those pipes, you'll see the chemical compositions of ketchup, mustard, and mayonnaise. This is a reference to the McDonald's sponsor, and it's still there to this day. A little humorous fact before being thrown into the world of hungry dinosaurs. Before we board the attraction, I would just like to mention that we just hit 200 subscribers, so thank you all so much for the support the channel's been getting lately. If you want to support the channel, hit that subscribe button to join us on our journey. Guests then board their Time Rovers labeled CTX, which is a reference to Countdown to Extinction. These are actually the same ride vehicles and ride system used on Indiana Jones Adventure at Disneyland, and the ride layouts of these two rides are almost the same. Each ride vehicle features on-ride audio from Dr. Seeker as he guides you along your adventure. You finally travel back in time and are met with pitch black darkness and hungry dinosaurs. Remember, you are searching for an iguanodon, which is an herbivore, but the other dinosaurs here are not. The first dino that you encounter is a Styracosaurus, nothing too crazy yet, and he pretty much just minds his own business. And then you turn the corner and see a dinosaur eating another dinosaur whole. The predator here is an Alioramus known for eating small, fast dinosaurs, so you can imagine what would happen if he wasn't a little distracted. You pass by a few more dinosaurs, including a raptor, which is seen as one of the most deadly dinosaurs ever, mostly due to Jurassic Park, when in reality they actually look pretty goofy, but you have no success in finding your iguanodon. So Dr. Seeker, who you've probably realized by now is not the most responsible guy in the world, kicks it into full gear and you start flying through the jungle, stopping every now and then to scan a dinosaur to check if it's our dino. This is when you come face to face with one of the most horrifying looking dinosaurs ever, that being the Carnotaurus whose fossil we saw earlier in the museum. You stop to scan him and he does not seem very happy, but this is when you get a good look at the Carnotaurus animatronic. You see him long enough to know that he means business, and spoiler alert, this is not the last time you're gonna see him. As you can tell by this point, the atmosphere of Dinosaur is dark and violent, but also adventurous and exciting, so you're scared in a good way where you'll want to keep going to catch the dino. One of my favorite aspects of this ride is the screens with the little dinosaurs running around and the small dinosaurs hanging above. It adds to the fear factor because it makes you feel like there's all kinds of things just creeping and crawling around you. I also really love the jungle atmosphere with the greenery and the dimly lit sets, which you just barely get glimpses of whenever lightning strikes. It's an incredible way to strike fear into the rider. It's like a scene in a horror film where the lights are flickering and the monster is getting closer every time the lights flash. The sky also gives the illusion of being outside at night, even though of course you aren't, but it achieves the effect very successfully, and when it comes to rides that are inside that try to convince you that they are in fact outside, this does it the best. We move forward some more and encounter another large dino. Unfortunately, it's a sauropod, but at least this one's a vegetarian. You are now met with the fact that the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs is approaching, so now you're not only worried about getting eaten, but also going extinct along with the dinosaurs. Your vehicle starts going even faster, dodging around meteorites and small dinosaurs, until once again the Carnotaurus appears basically out of nowhere. You turn the corner and he shows up right in your face, accompanied with flashing lights and loud roaring. If you are sitting on an edge seat, your life might just flash before your eyes. This is me last time I rode, and I knew he was going to be there, and he still got me. Dr. Seeker is completely ready to give up on the mission due to the imminent danger of the Carnotaurus and the asteroid, so he tries to abort the mission. Then all of a sudden you see him, the Iguanodon. Dr. Seeker then risks all of your lives to capture him, and in the final moments you are hit with a literal jump scare as the Carnotaurus lunges out at you from above, ready to eat you all alive. Thankfully, Dr. Seeker successfully pulls you and the Iguanodon out, saving you just seconds away from death, all while shouting out about the fact that you are not gonna make it. Now, you may have made it out alive, but that doesn't mean you aren't traumatized from the final encounter with the Carnotaurus. The build-up, along with the panic of Dr. Seeker through the on-ride audio, even though he's supposed to be our guide, make it feel like you just survived a horror movie. You may now exit the ride into the gift shop where there are sure to be crying children and maybe even adults. One of the most underrated aspects of Dinosaur has to be the ride vehicles. Dinosaur uses an EMV, or Enhanced Motion Vehicle, to toss you around with only a seatbelt. This adds a thrilling aspect to the ride which would not be achieved otherwise, because at the end of the day, it is just a dark ride. The mild thrills paired with the dark and intense theming combine very well to make the ride feel more intense than it actually is. This ride only goes 12 miles per hour, but it feels twice as fast, and that's all thanks to the ride vehicles. The on-ride audio is also amazing with Wallace Langen's voice acting. He is frantic like a crazy scientist, and it adds much needed humor to an otherwise intense ride. He also has plenty of iconic lines such as,
"Definitely not our dino. Not our dino, but at least this one's a vegetarian. They're not gonna make it! They're not gonna make it!"
The scares that this ride provides would also not be possible without the animatronics that look incredible and used to function very well. The Imagineers went all out to make sure these guys look as scary and deadly as possible, and they absolutely achieved their goal. However, nowadays the ride is in a bit of a rough condition and the animatronics are of course getting older, but in my opinion this almost makes the ride even scarier with how janky some of them look and the uncanny way that they move. This is unfortunately where Dinosaur's story will come to an end, as on January 12, 2025, the Carnival section of Dinoland USA was permanently closed to make way for the new Tropical Americas themed land featuring a new Encanto ride. Due to the location of Dinosaur, the ride stayed open through the closure of Dinoland USA, and guests could still ride it in its semi-broken state. On February 2nd, 2026, Disney will be closing down Dinosaur for good to make way for an Indiana Jones re-theme, which is sad even as someone who likes Indiana Jones. The charm and fear factor of Dinosaur will be almost impossible to recapture by any other ride, but I will admit this thing needs a major refurb and people really like Indiana Jones, so I guess it makes sense. But every time I'm in Animal Kingdom from now on, there will forever be a dinosaur-sized hole in the park. Alright guys, that's going to be it for the look back on Dinosaur before it closes for good. Dinosaur is seriously one of my favorite Disney rides of all time, and if you're going to Animal Kingdom in January, can you please ride this thing for me one last time? I would appreciate it. We also just hit 200 subs, and I want to thank you guys for that milestone, and if you aren't subscribed and you like what you saw, please hit that subscribe button. That being said, thank you guys for making it this far, and I'll see you guys in the next video.